And welcome back to Live in the Hall. I'm Amy Henderson. We're here at the Georgia Municipal Association's annual convention exhibit within the exhibit hall, and I'm joined by Mayor Boyd Austin of Dallas, who is GMA's president and has been all over the state this year. We just heard from our speaker, Waldo.
Right.
And you could have been Where's Waldo this year for where you are traveling all over the state.
I've been in every corner of the state, and it's been amazing.
Tell me some of the things that you got to experience this year.
Well, first of all, I got to meet a lot of great people and see people in every size city, from the little bitty town of Edge Hill with 25 all the way up to folks in the city of Atlanta. I've been in every district and every section of the state. I saw a lot of things. I got off the interstates and went through some of the back roads, and just the incredible things that each city has that's unique. And you know, we really need to tell that story. People need to get off more.
I call it detourism.
Right.
And I'm trying to make this a thing. So if people would
work
work with me on this. But no, as you say, there's so many great little gems in Georgia. What do you think are some of the commonalities of the people who are working for their cities as council members and mayors? What are some of the things you think they have in common?
I think we all share the same problems, the same issues. It's just on a different scale. And so that's what GMA does, is it allows people to come together to help know what the solutions may be to their problems, and to share that information with one another. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. This morning I was in a class on emerging technologies, and one of the things I pointed out to the very smallest cities is our IT in a box service, that GMA has been proactive to try to help provide them with the services that they need and that are affordable and can be tailored to their needs.
And that is a big issue, because cybersecurity is such a big concern, and government tends to kind of trend behind on technology. So yeah, that is a huge.
And a lot of towns don't have a budget for a full-time staff or IT director, but with our services, with the HR services, all of those things, they can buy those and they can be up to date just like their bigger city peers.
And speaking of problem solvers, at the legislature this year, there was an issue with the work. There was a bill that was brought up last year with workers' comp, for providing workers' compensation coverage for firefighters who contract cancer. And when it first came up, the bill was passed in both houses. The governor heard our concerns as an organization and vetoed the bill. And of course, we knew it was coming back this year. And speak to what GMA did, how we were helped solve that problem.
You know, the problem with the bill was it had a great purpose, and nobody ever denied the fact that we need to do for our public safety officials. But it was very broad, and our great concern was that it would bankrupt our workers' comp system, and that nobody would ride them in the state anymore. So the governor heard those economic concerns, and we went back through our GMEB system and helped formulate a product that we could sell. We narrowed the definitions and the types of cancer that were available. We put some stopgap measures in there to protect cities against abnormal cost. And then we created a product, and the great news is the product is going to be about half the annual premium that we thought it would.
Oh, that is great news.
So it's going to be around in the 400 range, and it's going to be in the low 200s.
Yeah. And I love too that we go into these things with the attitude of not let's stop this legislation, but how can we solve the problem? And I've been at GMA for a number of years now, and I always say I think that's one of the things that makes GMA the great place it is that GMA is a problem-solving kind of place, and and of course your leadership. It was one of your representatives who brought the bill in the original bill, and you worked with him on this as too.
But what we never need to lose sight of is that it was an unfunded mandate from state government, and we hear the state government complain all the time about the federal government passing them down, but they pass the buck to us. And ultimately, our taxpayers are going to foot that bill for those benefits. But we were able to work through that and with them to get something that was more amenable to all of us.
What do you think are some of the other accomplishments that you experienced this year?
Well, the one thing I really wanted to do was promote training. I saw a large number of people that had never completed their required course in the newly elected official institute. And so we were trying to push those folks to get that out of the way. Clear up the record, whether if they were exempt or they just hadn't completed the process. and then to be engaged in the rest of the training that we do. There's
Right.
so many things. We solve so many problems when people go to the training
Right.
and they understand what they can or
Cannot
cannot
do.
do, or what other people are doing to solve that problem. And we focused on leadership, and that's the point of this conference, the theme of the conference. And we have the mentoring program that has been kind of officially set in place
Right.
and beginning to take legs so we can reach out to new
And
officials.
that's going to be key this year because, as you mentioned, it's
a
an
city election year mainly.
and we want those people who are going to be, you know, they may be new to running for office. They need to know that they have to have that mandatory training
Right.
as soon as possible. They can't always get in the first time. But
And the other thing, too, is I wanted people to focus on what GMA's core mission is, and that's service, advocacy, and innovation. And the advocacy part protects home rule for every city. And there may be issues that come up that do not particularly affect one's own city, but there will be a day when it does.
Right.
And so we need to solidify that position. We need to ask those people that are running for statewide office, how do you stand on these issues that affect cities? And are you willing to step out and say, we believe in home rule at your level like we claim at ours?
Right, and that's a very good point. And as you know, GMA, of course, is going to be proactive in the 2018 governor's election,
Right.
and probably with another couple of the state leadership positions to try to tie our issues into
Right.
the city issues into what they're doing. We have seen some folks here at our conference this weekend who are running for governor, and you know, they've been very active in meeting city officials throughout the years. This isn't unusual for them to be
Right.
here, and we appreciate that. But I'm sure we're going to start.
But when they ask for our support, we ought to ask for their support. And we ought to know how they stand on those things that are vital to all cities and really to all local government, to counties and school boards as well.
So let me ask you this. You've been in office for a little over 20 years now?
22 and a half.
22 and a half. Serve as president of GMA, serve as chair of the RMEBS funds. What advice, it is an election year, what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about running for city office for the first time?
Think long and hard about it. Know what you can and cannot do. And, you know, I tell people all the time, we do have problem children. We see that around the state. We see problems in cities. But most times it's generated by personalities or people that think they can do something that they can't. This morning I was in a session and some of them were talking about how bad their mayor was. And I'd say, if you want to be mayor, run for mayor. If you want to be a council member, run for council. But don't run for one and try to be the other. And know what you can do. Read the charter that governs your city. They all are different.
That is the Bible of city government.
That's right. And, you know, and city government is the only level of government that's growing. We had 2 new cities join us this year. They were recognized today.
Right.
The city of Stonecrest and the city of South Fulton.
And they're not small cities.
South Fulton is a city of 100,000 people. And that's bigger than most of our cities.
Yes, and I think like an 84 square mile landmass.
Very different looking city.
It's
it looks like some of the old gerrymandered cities or whatever.
Yeah, but we're so happy to have them there, and we're happy that interest in local government is there, that people like having their representatives close to them where they know they can pick up the phone and call somebody. They know they're going to run into you.
Right.
In downtown Dallas, and they can ask you questions.
Absolutely.
And you're so accessible to them, and they like that with their local governments.
And, you know, since the cityhood progression began with Sandy Springs, every year we find cities, not just in metro Atlanta, but all over the state, or groups of people all over the state, that want to determine their future, their land use planning, services that are provided. We've got issues on the coast down here, all over the state. And people are willing to submit to that form of government and create it because it is closest to them and they can make an impact at that level.
That's right. And we're celebrating all the great things that cities are this weekend. We're celebrating the leadership that are the people who are the leaders of these cities, and the different styles of leadership. I mean, there's some leaders that are just brash and out there, and there are others, and I think of Billy Trapnell and Metter, who unfortunately for us, and I think for the city of Metter, but I'm sure they've got great other great leaders there.
Right.
He's not running again this year, and his style of leadership is so very just a servant leadership.
Right, absolutely.
And there's so many different styles of leadership, and we're celebrating all of that this weekend. And we appreciate your leadership with our organization this year.
And I want to say to all the people of GMA, what a great honor this has been. I'm telling you, it's one of the signal honors of my life. And it's been great to meet a lot of people, to renew a lot of old friendships, and to be in places that I haven't been in a long time, and to see that every city in its uniqueness is marketing itself, and whether small or large, that they're reaching out to tell their story, and they've got a great story to tell.
Did you come away with any favorites?
I'm not going to say. Dallas is always my favorite.
Is home.
My heart will be in Athens with the University of Georgia forever.
You know, but I agree with you. I've
friends all over the state.
There's so many cities I haven't been able to get to yet, but the ones I have, there is just something about each and every one of them that you're just like, I love it.
The magical city of Savannah, our first city, and it's in its 285th year, I think, this year.
Yeah.
So, you know, almost 300 years of history here, and what Oglethorpe envisioned, and we still have vibrant, growing cities all over Georgia.
It is not a bad place to be in Savannah and with these people this weekend.
That's right.
So thank you for that. Now we're going to go check in with Kelly, who's talking with the folks at Home Depot.